Before we get going today, I am going to show you some figures straight away because I didn't do it in the last episode. So there are going to be a few different figures thrown at you throughout the entire series. The first of which, and the most important one I think going forward, is going to be the CEX credit. At the moment, we have £27.50 at our disposal. I can use that for whatever I want, whenever I want. That is free money. That was acquired through trading in some things from my personal collection that I'm not that fond of. The other figures are going to be essentially profit and how much we spent, etc. So in the last episode I picked up NBA Jam boxed with the Power Play guide, the manual. That sold almost straight away and I got £22 for it. The whole thing cost me, what was it, like 8 or 9, maybe £10 in total. And then of course I have my loose cartridge of NBA Jam to sell that I had in my personal collection anyway, so we are far ahead now. The cartridge is essentially going to pay for the whole thing and the guide is clear profit on top, which is fantastic. However, we do need to take that into consideration when thinking about the threshold and everything. So the updated figures regarding that are on screen right now. While I eagerly await the boot sale that is going to start this weekend, finally,
are you sure about that?
I have been looking around my existing collection to see what I can list just to boost the balance a little bit, maybe try and do something with the money that we can make, and I am happy to report that I've come up with a plan for this series. You may or may not remember that I have, I wouldn't say a fairly sizable, but I do have a fair few PlayStation 1 games that I absolutely do not care about, apart from Theme Park. I love Theme Park. It is a great game, doesn't matter what platform you own it on. It is phenomenal, and that is the one PlayStation 1 game that I will be keeping. Everything else was up for grabs, so I listed several little bundles on Vinted, and I'm very happy to report that I woke up one morning and someone had bundled 3 of these together and had purchased them for about £24. And of course on Vinted you keep all of the profit, and as they were sold from the personal collection, I don't have to bother Rishi with the figures. Now you might be wondering what I'm going to do with that £24. Are we going to go into CEX and have a bit of a spree? Are we going to go to an independent video game store? Am I going to use it in a car boot sale? Well, no, I have already spent it, although I do fear that some of that will get refunded. But I ended up buying a game. It is a PS4 game that I have not wanted for any length of time, and I have absolutely no intention of keeping. So here is the package right now. I got this delivered within 24 hours. I bought it from someone in Bridgend. I think it cost me about £8 in total. So what I plan to do going forward is to buy and sell things. Obviously, if I find things in boot sales or whatever, list them on Vinted and then use the money that I make from those items to buy things that I can trade into CEX. And I will look at my personal collection every now and again to see if there are some things like the PS1 games, for example, that I can list up and sell on. But effectively, I am going to try and stretch that money a little bit further. So that £24 that I've made back from the PS1 games, which of course owe me nothing at this point, everything in my collection is free, I am going to try and turn that into far more credit than just £24. So the game in question is NASCAR 2021. I'm pretty sure this is the most recent NASCAR game that they made. There may be another one, is it called Heat or something? But they don't really make them that often, and in fact I think they may have just stopped altogether. This traded in at the time for 12. I don't know what it trades in for today. I was really interested to see that this turned up sealed, because in the picture it wasn't sealed. There was no PlayStation ribbon around it. It wasn't shiny in any way, so this person has more than one copy. I was quite excited actually, and confused when I opened it and saw that it was sealed, because I thought, hey, I might be able to sell this for more than I've bought it for, and then maybe use that money to buy things to trade in so I could get even more money. No, unfortunately it's a bit of a weird one, but this game only sells for about £10 brand new and sealed on eBay, so how and why CEX are trying to get 18 for it I will never know, but I'm not going to complain. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, why have you just spent £8 or £9 to just trade this in for 12? You just turned your cash into credit, and that is absolutely correct. I have done that, but I've just stretched it a little bit, and that's like an extra £3 in credit that I wouldn't have had if I just walked in there with cash. And it might not sound like a lot now, but if I do that another 10 times, that's an additional £30. and that is probably the bare minimum that I'm going to be willing to do it on with a game like NASCAR. I have bought another 3 with the remaining money from the PS1 sale, but unfortunately they haven't been sent out yet, and it's been 3 days. I've sent them a message and I haven't had a reply. They have over like 250 feedback on Vinted, which is a sizable amount on Vinted. However, no reply yet, yet, and they do have a few feedbacks that are like sale not completed, so I am very wary that they may not get sent, which is a shame. I'll get my money back and I'll be able to go and find something else, but it was a pretty good deal. I was like more than doubling the money here, so unfortunately I'll have to go back out and find them, but if not, and they do show up, I'll show you in the next episode. So I took my NASCAR into CEX and I traded it in and I got myself a voucher. While I was there, I had a little look around to see if I could find any promo copies on the Xbox 360. This was the third visit since the last episode. I have been going fairly frequently to this CEX to see if I can find any. Remember when I said that they had like 160 360 games, and then in the last episode I was like, yeah, they've got 190 odd. Now they've got like 230. People have heard my cries and they've just gone and traded in their entire collections. Unfortunately, these people did not have promo copies because I have hunted high and low in this CEX and I haven't managed to find one. Not even a Madden 09. The one thing that I did think about though recently was Xbox One and Series games have a lot of promo copies on them as well. So while I'm planning to get a Series X at some point, I should probably start looking in the Xbox One section for these promo copies, because at some point I'm going to want to collect them on that platform as well. And I didn't find any again. But the beautiful thing about looking for these promo copies is that I can't just go on the website and have a look to see if they have any in stock, because CEX don't show the variants. There could be classics, there could be promo copies, there could be bundle copies. You just don't know until you go. So I like the fact that I have to go into these CEX stores and hunt for them. And it makes it even more special again when I'm in car boot sales, for example, and I'm flicking through and I'm looking for something specific. And the beauty of this is that these aren't these rare, expensive items. So if I find a promotional copy of a game and I ask someone in a boot sale or in a charity shop, for example, how much it is, they're not going to slap on a premium because it's a promo copy. If anything, most people don't want them, so they might even be discounted, but for some reason I've decided that I want them. So in this episode, unfortunately, I didn't manage to find any promotional copies, but I do have a plan. So what do I plan to do with this CEX credit, I hear you ask? Well, a lot of you may have worked this out already, and we've done this before with a few things. However, I'm going to hunt far and wide. I'm going to go to charity shops, I'm going to go to car boot sales, I'm going to go to Vinted themselves and eBay and various other places, and I'm going to find things to flip. I'm going to stick them back on Vinted and I am going to sell them, and then when the money goes into my Vinted balance, I am then going to use that to buy video games that I can trade into CEX to get that little bit more again, and then when I have enough credit, I am going to buy an Xbox Series X. On screen for you right now is the amount of credit that I currently have, which is pretty decent considering I haven't really done an awful lot of like hard work to get this. It's what, like 40 quid or something? If the person I've bought these games off send them on Vinted, I will have in excess of 60-70 pounds in credit, which is going to be really nice. Now at the moment, a Series X in CEX can be picked up for as little as, I say as little, £335. That's unboxed with a like bargain bucket controller, right? Unofficial controller. I don't want that. The next one up is 355. That is again unboxed with an official controller, and it obviously comes with like a 24-month warranty, which is nice, but for an extra £5 I can get a boxed one. So that at the moment anyway is the target. £360 worth of store credit is what I need to go into CEX, slap it down on the counter and say, give me one of those Series X's because I want to play some Game Pass. Now of course we're not just going to play Game Pass on this. I am going to build a very large library of Xbox One and Series X games, and I tell you what, I cannot wait, because when I'm on Vinted and I'm looking for things to buy to trade into CEX, the amount of brand new and sealed Xbox Series X games that I find for literal buttons. These things are so cheap. Need for Speed Unbound the other day, right? And it wasn't just a one-off. Need for Speed Unbound sealed on the Series X for like 5 quid. Someone was selling a copy of The Chant, which I've seen a lot recently, for like £3 brand new and sealed. Now these games aren't super expensive anyway. Dead Space was another one for like £8 brand new and sealed. But my point is the fact that I can get these things on Vinted for such a little price, and brand new and sealed as well, which is what blows me away, really makes me want to pick this up, because I've never really thought about having a sealed collection before, but it would actually be possible on the Series X and affordable. But that is something to think about in the future. I'm not really a big sealed guy. I like to be able to play these games and and taking cellophane off things does pain me a little bit. But I was really surprised to see how many promo copies you can pick up on the Xbox One. I knew about a few, but I didn't know that there were as many as there are. I had a little look on eBay the other day for Xbox 360 promo copies, and there are a lot there. I mean, you can get some games that I never even expected to have promo copies, but then when I typed in a promotional copy Xbox One, a lot popped up, and I really didn't expect that. So I'm looking forward to starting to collect those as well. So I popped into Asda recently. That's right, the mecca of video games. I had a little look around. There are a few things in there that are not badly priced, but at the same time, I did notice there were quite a few games out of stock in Asda for whatever reason. And I did mention in a video fairly recently that I expect this to be the case going forward for the Xbox One, as they send out far fewer copies to stores because they're not selling as many. So maybe Asda will stock maybe 2 or 3 copies of Forza, and then once they sell, they have to wait a while to get more in because there aren't that many available. I'm not sure whether that's what's happening here, but it looks like it could be the case because the PlayStation 5 side of things isn't as bad. They still have fewer copies in stock, and there are a few sold out signs dotted around the place, but in general, I didn't find anything there. A few things a little bit too overpriced for me. Not that I would ever buy Starfield brand new anyway, but 60 quid. I decided to leave it and walk away. Interesting that it's $59.99 and everything else is rounded down. A few very disappointing trips to charity shops recently. Video games in charity shops are almost non-existent. One thing that I'm going to start looking into a little bit more is DVDs and box sets and things, because an awful lot of charity shops have these, and I never really bother to go through them. And every now and again I'll be like, no, I'm going to go into the charity shop, I'm going to scan every DVD and box set, and I'm going to come out with a whole bunch of credit for CEX, or I'm going to have things that I can sell, and I very rarely find anything, and then I give up and I never bother looking again. I need to get back into that because there is actually a lot of money to be made in DVDs. Not so much with Blu-rays, although you can, but DVDs in particular, I need to start looking at them. But unfortunately, video games in charity shops are just, they're a non-starter for me. I very rarely to never find anything. And believe it or not, you can make money off things like plushes, you know, teddies essentially. In this charity shop in particular, I found a SpongeBob literal SquarePants. I think he was about £2 or something, brand new with tags, which is not a bad deal, and I probably could have made a little bit on this, but I decided to leave it for someone else because I wasn't really that bothered about picking it up. But there definitely are a lot of teddies that do sell for money, and there's the DVD section over there, and it was a fairly sizable one, and I have done in the past actually found some decent things within this charity shop. I found a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air box set many moons ago, very early doors in this series, that traded into CEX for almost double what I bought it for, and I literally just went over the road and traded it in. That was quite nice, but I'm definitely going to have to do that going forward. Again, another poor outing for a charity shop, some terrible camera work, I do apologise, but I found 2 things here really, nothing worth mentioning, but a pair of Lacoste trainers, which of course we're not averse to in this series. I will be picking up things like shoes and coats and things as and when. I would not get enough money to warrant buying them. They were £12, so I just put them back. They weren't in the greatest of conditions either. PC Bioshock 2, put that back very quickly. In fact, there were a lot of PC games in this charity shop, and unfortunately none of them worth picking up. A few plushes, some toys and things, but ultimately nothing worth buying. And that's just been the story of my charity shops recently. This is my favourite charity shop, bar none, and I say that it's very hit and miss, and I only ever really find technology here. They very rarely have games. I think I've seen a Mega Drive game in one of these once, but they've got this sort of spinny thing with DVDs on. Sometimes they have video games here. I didn't look at any of these, and I really should have, because there are a fair few things there that I'm sure would be worth picking up, because DVDs do have value, and certain obscure box sets and things more than others. And again here, a whole wall full of DVDs, and I'm sure there is at least one in there. There has to be at least one in there that is worth picking up. I could easily have just stood there and scanned everything, but I've been there for a very long time. This is the section that I love in this charity shop. Unfortunately, recently, it has been an absolute nightmare. You normally get like DVD or VHS DVD combos or VHS players or even monitors that can go for an awful lot of money, and I've made a fair bit of money from picking up things in this charity shop. The one thing that I do want is this Sony DVD player right here, but unfortunately it's a store sort of display unit and it's not for sale. But that's the only thing that's been in this charity shop for weeks, and they will not sell it to me. Roberts radio. Roberts is actually a good make for radios if you're looking. Didn't really fancy this. It wasn't in the best of conditions. It was very dirty as well. 15 quid. I didn't think there was going to be enough in that, so I decided to leave it. But charity shops recently for me have been absolutely horrendous. Car boot sale season is upon us. Many have started around the country for other people. If you watch other people, I'm sure you'd have seen them go to car boot sales. The weather at the moment isn't particularly great. However, this Saturday there is a boot sale on fairly close to me. It's a regular that I tend to go to. Now, unfortunately for me, it's going to be on the concrete rather than the grass, and I'm not a big fan of this. However, hopefully anyway, I will find something worth picking up. If you've been to a car boot sale recently and you managed to find anything, let me know in the comments. Have you actually gone to a charity shop in the last 6 months and found anything worth buying? Do you have success with DVDs, for example? I apologize, I have nothing to show you in terms of pickups in this episode, but we do have that decent chunk of CEX credit, and I have spent the money on some other games on Vinted, but I'm waiting for them to send them, so hopefully that gets sent out soon. In the next episode you will have some car boot sale footage, fingers crossed anyway.
No.
I'm hoping these episodes will become more frequent now that I have a bit of a game plan. If you'd like to check out a video from way back in the series, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.